Welcome. Today we're going to learn Parshas Vayishlach. But before we start, I would just like to mention something. 2 weeks ago in Parshas Vayishlach, I suggested that the story of Yitzchak and Rivka going to Gerar took place before the birth of Yaakov and Esav, and Ein Mukdam B'Torah. And I said what the reason for that was. And I mentioned last week that Rabbi Cohen sent me a proof, because how could they have relations during a famine? And this week he sent me another proof, very excellent proof, but I'm not going to get into that. But my good friend and neighbor of Shufra Dshtara was so taken with the idea that he said that it must have been mentioned somewhere before. So he did a lot of research, and he found in Rabbi Ephraim al Torah, in the edition that was published in Johannesburg in 1950. I'm just going to read to you the few lines. He says, you can ask, who gave him permission to have relations during a famine? Is forbidden. Those who are childless are allowed to. It's not an order. So this is Rabbi Ephraim al Torah. Also, my son Chaim found it in another sefer that I never heard of. He also found this, that it's out of sequence. So Baruch Shekibanti. Okay, so let's talk about Vayishlach. So in Vayishlach we have one of the most puzzling incidents in the Torah. Yaakov is coming back to Canaan, and Esav is coming towards him with an army of 400 thugs. And he's frightened. What are you going to do? He splits his machna, and then everybody crosses the river. And it says, Vayivasa Yaakov levadai. Yaakov remained himself on this side of the river. Why did he remain there? Why didn't he go along? So Rashi says, Shachach pachim ketanim v'chazar aleim. He forgot some small jugs, and he returned for them. So this is like incredible. Yaakov was fabulously wealthy. He had so much money, so much, he had sheep and camels and whatever you want, huge flocks of everything. And he asked that, this is, everybody asks this. Why is he going back for a few jugs? So, people say that is to show a koros hatoiv, that everything's from Hashem, even the little things. But he put himself at risk. He was in danger by staying here, by staying himself over there. Why would he put himself at risk for pachim ketanim? What was his reason? So the Gemara, this comes from the Gemara. The Gemara says like this, Gemara Chulin Daf Tzadik Aleph. Vayivosa Yaakov levadoi. So Amar Rabbi Lazar, Shenishtayer al pachim ketanim. He stayed for the small jugs. Mikalan tzadikim, shechoviv aleim mamoinam yoser migufam. That for tzadikim, their money is more precious to them than their bodies. And v'kol kach lama, why? V'she'ein paishtin yadein begezel. Because they're very careful with gezela. And then the Gemara says, Vayavik Yishim ad leis hashachar, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Mikan le'talmid chacham shlo yetze yechidi b'layla. A talmid chacham should not go out by himself at night, because it's dangerous. And you see, Yaakov went himself, behuzak, and he was injured. So you see from over here, Mamayim chavalav yosef megufam. It's not just that he really cared so much about the pachim ketanim, not that he really cared so much about the little jugs, but more than his goof. He was putting himself at risk of injury, and he was injured. Nevertheless, his pachim ketanim were more precious to him than getting hurt and getting wounded. Why? So the Gemara says, "Lepish ein poishin den begezel." So what does this mean? That Yaakov was worried that if he leaves those pachim ktanim, which are worth, I don't know, $1, $2, and he's got millions, and if he leaves those pachim ktanim, then maybe somewhere down the road, this will lead him to having the sign of gezel. That's why he went back for them. What does it mean for shein poishin den begezel? What does the Gemara mean? There was a chash gezel over here. So this language of that Chavav Mamoinam Yosem Gufa, we found this language also in Kriya Shema. In Kriya Shema, in Parshas Vayishlach, we say, "V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol moedecha." You have to love the Rebbeinu Shalom with all your heart, with all your. Well, Rashi says, "B'chol levavcha b'shnei yitzrecha." The Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Ra, you should take everything and love the Rebbeinu Shalom. B'chol nafshecha, afilu noitel es nafshecha. Even if you're going to lose your life, love should overcome that. U'b'chol moedecha, b'chol mamoincha, with all your money. Sheyesh lach odam shemamoinoi chavev olav yosem megufay. Because there are some people that they're, Bansi by Yaakov, that it was chavev yosem megufay. I'm assuming that it was not in danger of dying, because of course, v'chai b'hem v'leish yomas b'hem, you can't take a chance. Sakonas nefashos, you can't do this. But his danger was not, Gufay was not a danger of dying, it was in danger of being wounded. So being wounded, he was willing to accept being wounded rather than lose the little jobs. No, why? So here Rashi says, there's some people that their money is more precious to them than their bodies. So we're not talking over here about the tzaddikim, that they're because they're worried about gezel, because that really, what does that have to do with loving the Rebbeinu Shalom completely? This is something that they care about the little jugs because they don't want to do gezel. So it's talking about regular people. Regular people, there are people, we know, that it's more important for them to make money than to take care of their health, of their bodies. You find there are people that will go to great lengths, they'll travel far away, and they'll go to places of risk, and all this because they have to make money. So there are some people that will put themselves at risk for money. I'm assuming that it's not the norm, but there are such people. So Rashi is saying, B'chol moedecha means that there are some people that they care more about the money than their goof. So why do we need a pasuk for these people? We're saying Yishlav Hashem with, and the pasuk adds B'chol moedecha, because there may be some people who will put themselves at risk in order to make money. So we need a pasuk for them. What is Rashi saying? So before we, I want to bring up another question. The Gemara says in the Dorim that 4 people are considered like a mace. Ani, a Metzoira, a Suma, a Misha, and Leibanim. Somebody's poor, somebody who has tzaras, a blind person, and someone who has no children. So we could understand why someone who has no children is considered like a mace, because he's going to be cut off, there won't be any continuation of generations, so that's considered like dead. Rachel said, "Am I in mace anochi?" So Rashi says, because if you have no children, it's like you're dead. All right, we can understand that. Mitzaira, we can understand. Mitzaira sits by himself outside of the camp, all by himself. He's dead. A summa, why is a summa like he's dead? So Rashi says in the beginning of Parshas Vayishlach, when it says Elokei Yitzchak, and Aval Pishla Metzinu Ben Mikra Sheyichla Kosh Baruch Shmuel Tzadikim. The Rebbeinu Shalom does not say Elokei such a person as long as he's alive, because you don't know what he's going to do. A person may turn, you don't know. A person could be 80 years a Kohen Gadol, and then who becomes a tzaddik. So the Rebbeinu Shalom only connects his name to a tzaddik only after his life. And here it said Elokei Yitzchak when he was still alive. So Rashi says why? Because His eyes, he lost his vision. And he was trapped in his house. He couldn't get around. He was blind. He's like a dead person. He has no Yetzer Hara. He's just like he's not involved in life. He can't do anything. He can't do anything, and he doesn't have Yetzer Hara. If a person can't see, his anayim don't see anything, so assume it's chashav kameis. Good, we understand this. But why is it only chashav kameis? Just a person is poor, so what does a person who's poor do? He's mispanis not tzedakah. He takes tzedakah and he lives. I see all these mishalachim coming around in the shuls, and I imagine some of them are really aniyim, and they have a job. They go around and they collect money, and people collect programs. So programs also provide you money, and because through tzedakah, through programs, these aniyim who have nothing, they are able to feed their families and clothe them and marry them off. And so, of course, it's not the most dignified thing to go to be an ani and to have to live by collecting or by taking government programs. Maybe it's also not so dignified, but okay, so it's not so dignified. People clean toilets for parnasa, and it's also not dignified. So just because what they're doing is not so dignified, so that's why they're considered like they're dead. Why is it only chashuv like he's dead? He's got to eat. He has what to eat. He has what to wear. He has where to live. I mean, he's okay. He lives from tzedakah, so he's not rich. He has no property, but why is he considered like a mace? So, on the Erev Rosh Hashanah, we do Hataras Nedarim. So usually we have 4 people, groups of 4 people, and we take turns. One person gets up and he says the Nusach of Hataras Nedarim, and then you sit down and you're the Bezdin, and the other people take turns. So you get to see it or hear it 4 times, and you're just sitting there. So many years ago, I was looking at it, and it's not very. Just have to sit there. So we're looking at it and see what are we saying. There's a lot of words like Yisrael, l'chaim, l'nida, like this, and say, and one line jumped out at me. He's saying like this: Hey, we want asking about Torah. Bein im hayu amaisim midvarim anoigim b'mamoin, bein madvarim anoigim b'guf. 3 things. Now, normally we understand that a person is a hybrid of a soul and a body, and the ruchnius comes connected to the soul, and gashmius, materialism, is connected to the body. So you have 2 parts. You have a spiritual side, the ruchnius, and you have a material side, the gashmius. So there's 2 parts to a person. What is money? Money is meant to serve either one. You have a ruchnistic side. You want to sit and learn. You want to do mitzvahs. So you need money. You have a gashmiistic side. So you want to have a nice house. You want this, want that. You need money. So money is just there to serve either the guf or the neshama. Why is it considered a separate thing? Why is it a separate thing? Seems like it's a different thing. So really, the pasuk says in Koheles, "Oyev kesef lo yizba kesef." A person who loves money will never be satisfied. He'll always want more. The Medrash says, with a slightly different language, but the one that we're familiar with, Yesh lo'imana roitzem masayim. If you have 100, you want 200. You have 200, you want 400. Whatever you have, you want more. Why does a person need so much money? Why? Why does a person need so much money? Is there such a thing that a person, let's say, has a taiva for chocolate? A person loves chocolate. So would you say that a person loves chocolate, he will never be sated with chocolate? There'll come a point when he just cannot look at another piece of chocolate. Just giving chocolate and chocolate and chocolate. Okay, enough. You get nauseous from looking at a piece of chocolate. After any type of gashmias, there comes a point where you're sated, where you don't want any more. So why if you want money, do you always want more money? You have $10 million, you want $20 million. Why do you need that other $2 million? You have plenty of money. I don't know, maybe today people have bigger asagas. If you have 100 million, why do you need 200 million? You can do everything you want. You can satisfy all your taivas, all your needs. So why do you need the second $100 million? Why? That's Yeshlam Rights of Messiah. You have 100 million, you want 200 million. Why? Because it's an insurance in case the market turns and you lose your first 100 million. If it turns, you lose the second two. Don't worry about it. So why do you need so much money? Why do people need this? Teretz is because there are three parts to a person. There's a guf and a neshama, and there's mammon. The need for mammon has nothing to do with the needs of the guf, and nothing to do with the needs of the neshama. A person needs money. There are three parts to a person's personality. There is the spiritual, intellectual part, which is neshama. There is the material part, which is the guf. And there is the possessive part, which is the mammon, which is the money. A person needs money. So there are three parts. So we say that the nedarim that we made, whether they affect the neshama part, or the guf, or the mammon part, we mahator and all these things. So what is this? What is the purpose of this mammon? Why does a person need the mammon? How do you explain this other aspect, which seems to be a fundamental aspect of a personality? The person has, when we say a guf and the neshama and the mammon, it's like a triumvirate. Three parts. Three. So I think you can explain it with Rashi and Avis. The Mishnah says in Avis, Yofe, Sho Achas Shel Koros Ruach Ba'olam Haba, Mikol Chaya Olam Hazeh. One moment of pleasure in Olam Haba is equal to the entire Olam Hazeh. Why is Olam Haba better than Olam Hazeh? Why is it so much more pleasurable? So Rabbi Yaakov says, and Loirasa, you're going to be in Olam Haba, you're going to see things that you never saw, it's going to be dazzling. But Rashi doesn't say this. Rashi says something else. Rashi says, we call Kairos Ruach Shalom Hazeh. Why? A person cannot have complete pleasure, peace of mind in this world. Why? Because he always has problems and issues. Always there are problems in this life. A person is afraid of dying. So in this world, you cannot be completely happy because you have problems and because you're aware that you are going to die. With the awareness of mortality. You see from Rashi, first of all, that there really is no difference in Olam Haba and Olam Hazeh. Olam Hazeh, if you really do it right, so Olam Hazeh you could fill it with Torah mitzvahs, and then it's the same as Olam Haba. It's the same thing. The reason why Olam Hazeh is worse than Olam Haba is because Olam Hazeh we have problems and we have the awareness of mortality, and Olam Haba you have none of that. So you could enjoy the Torah and all the mitzvahs of the Torah and all the concepts and ideas and the insights of the Torah without any kind of distractions and complete relaxation, where by Olam Hazeh you can't. I think that's the pshat, that Shabbos is Meina Olam Haba. Why is Shabbos Meina Olam Haba? Because Shabbos you can't worry. So a person, you could control it to a large extent, but you get an idea what Olam Haba is. Because comes Shabbos, And really, you could control yourself for one day to put all your daigas and all your problems in your business and your health issues. You put them out of your mind. You can't worry. So and then if you have Shabbos properly, if you spend time with your family and you talk and learning and you talk about mitzvahs and you tell wonderful stories of tzaddikim or whatever, not dvorim b'teilim, then that is olam haba. That's olam haba. You can get a taste of it. It's not quite, because no matter what, a human being doesn't clear his mind completely, but you get a sense, a taste of olam haba. So according to Rashi, that's the difference. So Rashi is telling us a tremendous yesod. Rashi is telling us that a person is always aware of mortality. You think, I don't think about death, I'm young, I'm this, I'm that. It's not true. A person is always misyarei min amisa, whether it's consciously, whether it's subconsciously. A person has an awareness of mortality. From the time you come to your senses, you know that you are going to die. And that is in your mind, in your consciousness, and sometimes it comes to the surface, and sometimes it doesn't. But this person lives with the awareness of mortality, and I think that this destabilizes all people. It makes them neurotic. It gives them anxiety. If a person would know that he's not going to die, you would not recognize such a person. He would not be like anybody we know. Everybody that we know, with all their issues and everything, it's all because at the root of it, they know that they're going to die. They know that they feel that they are a halom yov, a ruach neshavas. They feel that that they're going to die, so they're just like a fleeting dream. Their life doesn't have any reality, doesn't have any substance. It's like a gust of wind. It comes and it goes and it's gone. And so here I am, and we turn around and I'm gone. What am I? What am I? So this is very, very difficult thing for a person to deal with, and that makes olam hazeh different from olam haba. Even if everything is going well and you don't have so many problems, but misyarei min amisa, everybody has the misyarei min amisa. So I think that this is the point of money. When a person has money, then it makes him feel grounded. You tell me I'm gonna disappear, but I own an office building in Manhattan. So that gives you a sense of solidity, a sense of substance. That's what money does for a person. It makes him feel grounded. It gives him, even though it's an illusion, because you're going to go anyway, no matter what. But at least, as long as you're here, it gives you that sense of solidity. It makes you feel like something. Where if you don't have money, so the Gemara says in Pesachim that when Dosan Aviron went down into the ground by the Adas Koirach, and they went down with Kol HaYikum Asher Raglayim. What does Yikum mean? So the Gemara says, Omer Rabbi Elazar, Zeh Mamoinoi Shel Adam Shemamidoi Al Raglav. This what is Yikum? A person's property. It puts him on his feet. It gives them stability. Not that the Mamoin Shel Adam, that it gives them bread on his table. That's not what Yikum means. That's, of course, you have money, it gives you what to eat. But Yikum means having wealth, having something significant, where Mamidoy al Raglov, it puts you on your feet. You feel stable, a certain amount. Without money, you feel completely destabilized. So even though an ani has what to eat and has where to sleep, and he marries off his children, but he doesn't have any property. He doesn't have the yikum. He doesn't have anything from Amida al Raglov. He has nothing to protect him, even in an illusory way. He has nothing to protect him from the awareness of death. An ani lives with death all the time. He's always aware that he's going to die, and he doesn't have the moment hamamidoi al Raglov. This is what these three things are.
So b'chol ma'idecha.
So 1 second. So we're going back now. So this is what these three things are. So b'chol ma'idecha, we say yesh lach adam she'b'mayna yichavav lav yosem megufay. What does that mean? There are some people. I mean, I would say most normal people would not. But some people, their need for money is so, not everybody, you have money, so you have a certain amount of money, so you feel stable. But some people, they need more, they still don't feel stable, they need more money and more money. So that shows you that there's some people that would choose their money, they would risk their body to get more money. It shows you that there is a tzad of a person, there's an aspect of the person, of the human personality, which is not there to serve the needs of the body, which is something in itself. Since by some people, the possessive aspect of a person is greater than the material aspect, so you see from that is something for itself. Therefore, all people have all three. It doesn't mean that there are some people, the Oyev Kesef has moment, the ones that Oyev Kesef doesn't have moment. Everybody has moment, everybody has a neshama, everybody has a guf, and everybody has a tzad of moment. All people. So what the Pasuk is telling you, that you have to love the Rebbeinu Shalom completely. B'chol levavcha is your neshama, b'chol nafshecha means that your body, and even if you take away your life, which is the living body, and b'chol moedecha means the money, the tzad of moment. Every person has three sides. He has the neshama, he has the guf, he has the moment, and you have to love the Rebbeinu Shalom completely, with everything that you are, all together. You have to love the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what Rashi is saying in Beis Chanan. So, about 25 years ago, I had a problem. I had a serious problem in my life, and I went to Eretz Yisrael to ask eitzes from Rabbanim Gedolim, and I went into Rabbi Moshe Mandel. Rabbi Moshe Mandel was a Galiciano Rav, a big Mekubal, and he was a talmid of my grandfather, the Marash Engel, Radam Shlarov, got smicha from him, and I went into him to get a bracha from him. And he welcomed me very warmly, in the Einikel of the Radam Shlarov, and he gave me a bracha. And the bracha that he gave me, he pointed me to a pasuk. It says, Vayova Yaakov Sholem, Ir Shechem, Sher Beretz Canaan. So Rashi says, Sholem begufay, Sholem b'mamaynai, Sholem b'tayrasai. Sholem begufay, shenisrapim etzliyasai. His wound was healed. So he was Sholem begufay. Sholem b'mamaynai, shlichasalei klum, Eisai adoyren. He sent a gift to Esav. That was considered a chesaron. It was considered that it was stolen from him, because he gave it under duress. He didn't like him, I want to send him a gift. He gave it to him because he was afraid of him. So he sent him that doiren. So really, he took money that was his, and meant for him, and he gave it to Esav. So that created a gap in his money. His money wasn't sholem. The money that the Rebbeinu Shalom allotted for him was not complete. Part of it, Esav took away. So the Medrash says that his other flocks were more fertile, and he recovered everything that he lost by sending the doiren to Esav. He recovered it, and he was sholem b'mamaynai. And then he was sholem b'terasai, shleishachach talmud b'beis Lavan. When he was by Lavan, he didn't forget his learning. He was sholem b'terasai. So this is what he gave me. He gave me this bracha, and when I looked this pasuk, and I never really was aimed on this pasuk, never looked at it so closely, but I saw it. This is what we say on Torah and Doran. This is what we say in the Kriya Shema. There are three aspects of a person. Shleimus. A person has to be complete. So a person is complete by being sholem begufai, by not being sick, by not being wounded. He has to be sholem b'tayrasai, and he has to be sholem b'mamaynai. He has to have whatever moment he has. If he's not chaymed for more, but whatever moment he has to be sholem. It has to be complete. So Yaakov was sholem in all three. This is what the Rashi says over here. So according to this, we can understand the Pachim Ktanim. Yaakov was a tzaddik. The dominant side of a tzaddik's personality is the neshama. That's his dominant side, without question. But he has two other sides. What are his two other sides? He has a tzad ha'mammon and he has a tzad ha'guf. Which is more important to him from these two? Which one does he want more to have shleimus in the tzad ha'mammon or in the tzad ha'guf? He has to make a choice. He's not at risk of his life. He has a risk of getting hurt. So if he gets hurt, then he's not shalom b'gufay. If he loses the pachim ketanim, then he's not shalom b'mamaynoi. Even if pachim ketanim take away from the shleimus, if the Rebbeinu Shalom gave you this moment, if you lost pachim ketanim, then you're not shalom. So because a tzaddik cares more b'shalom b'mamaynoi, why? Because shleimus in your moment protects you from gezel. A person who's not shalom b'mamaynoi is at risk of gezel. Not that he's going to need these pachim ketanim, and these pachim ketanim are going to make a difference, and when he runs out of money, then he's going to start stealing. That's not what it means. It means that a tzaddik is worried about gezel. So if a tzaddik is worried, always careful, not to be very careful with gezel. If a person is not shalom b'mamaynoi, then he cannot be so worried about gezel. A person, to protect a person against gezel, he needs shleimus. He needs to have no chesaron. The pachim ketanim would have been mechaser his moment, not as much as the doirin is mechaser his moment, but it still would be not shalom b'mamaynai. So but on the other end, if he goes to the pachim ketanim, then he could get wounded, and his guf is not shalom. The tzaddik would rather have shleimus of the mammon than have shleimus of the guf. That's the way I'm saying pachim ketanim. I want to say a couple of small things also. When they came to Shechem, so the whole story with Shimon HaLevi, Dinah was abducted. Shimon HaLevi went and they killed all of Shechem and they rescued Dinah. And Yaakov was upset. Achartem oisi, that you what have you done? They didn't tell him beforehand. They told him after the fact. They told him, and he didn't agree with them. So they said, should we make our sister like a harlot? Now, they had differences of opinion. Yaakov and the Shvatim had differences of opinion, which is allowed. They had allowed. When it came to going down to Mitzrayim to get food, they said, we have food, we're not going. And Yaakov said, Lama Tisro. Why should you show yourself as being more prosperous than other people? So go to Mitzrayim. So over there they listened. Over here they had also a difference of opinion. What did they think? And Yaakov says, you're putting us at risk. The nations are going to kill us. The Farshim say that they thought that everybody's going to understand the justice of what they did. So therefore we did the right thing. So they had a difference of opinion. But in the halacha, if you have a difference of opinion with your father, you cannot contradict your father. You have to say it as a question. Maybe it's like this, or maybe it's like that. So the Shvatim said, they said a question, do you really want to make that our sister should be like a harlot? So they said it correctly, like a shaila. And Memela, they were in that form, they were allowed to disagree with their father. But who was right? In the end, Yaakov was right, because it says that when they left, that Hashem, there was chitas alakim, Baruch scared. There was a like a shloika derech hateva. He gave them a special fright that didn't chase after them. So apparently Yaakov was right, and not the Shvatim. Now it says when Rachel gave birth, v'yivet says nafsha kimesa. Rachel gave birth, and vatikra shmai ben Oini. She called him ben Oini. Aviv karloi ben Yamin. Yaakov called him ben Yamin. Now we know in all the Shvatim, the Imayas gave the names to the Shvatim, not Yaakov. Rachel and Leah gave the names, and over here, Rachel gives him a name, and Yaakov changes it. Why did Yaakov change the name? He didn't like the name Ben Oini. So I want to say a klal. Targum doesn't translate names. When you have a name, it could be a Hebrew name, a different name. The name in Targum is as it is. Targum will sometimes give you the current name, like Ben Reken V'Chager, Ben Kodesh, Ben So he'll say that city that we're talking about today is called something else. Trachaina, different names he puts in which are current, but the name itself he does not translate. He don't translate a name. A name is what it is. Over here, Uncle says, Ukras Shmei Bar Devoy. Bar Devoy. He translates Ben Oini, the child of my sorrow, and he translates Bar Devoy, the child of my sorrow. Why is he translating it? Apparently, Uncle understood why is Yaakov changing the name. So he understood that Ben Oini was not a name; it was a comment. She said, "This is the child of my sorrow," because she felt she's going to die. So she said, Ben Oini, this is the child of my sorrow. She did not name him, but Yaakov named him. Yaakov gave him the name Binyamin. I want to say one more thing of conclusion. At the end of the Parsha, Ve'ela melacham hashemolchu beretz Edom lifnei melach melech bnei Yisrael. And then it goes through all the melachim. Belach ben Boyer, Shemira ben Hava. Then he died, and then it was Yoiva ben Zerach and Botzra. And he died, Chushameh, from everyone different person, a different place, a different city. And the Gemara says in Avodah Zarah that there's a pasuk in Avadia. Avadia said in the Nevuah about Edom. He said, "Hine kotnu saticha bagoyim." I made you small. Why small? The Gemara says, "She'ei meshivim melech ben melech." They don't have a hereditary monarchy. So apparently this was not hereditary. Because you see, it was like a different. Each melech was from a different father, a different place. It was not a hereditary monarchy. So why is that such a pchisus? Why is that so bad? I mean, because it wasn't democratic, because it wasn't a monarchy. So what was it? Some people say they had a democracy, and at the end of the term they got somebody else. So. Many years ago, I read a famous history book by Edward Gibbon called The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. Very interesting book. And I saw there was 40 emperors he went through, and the great majority of them, the method of succession was assassination. The emperor was assassinated and somebody else took over. Very rarely was there that somebody sent to the throne of imperial Rome through anything but assassination. So I think that's what was going on over here. Rome is Edom. Rome is descendant of Edom. The minhag of Rome to have a succession by assassination, that minhag was established here. Every single one of them came from a different city, had a different family, and he killed the one that was before him. This is what I think, maybe. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next week.